This is a photo from the iPhone 14 Pro. And this is a photo from the iPhone 14 Pro shot at the new 48 megapixel resolution in the ProRAW format. Or wait, is it? Did I make a mistake? Can you tell the difference? Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter by explaining what the ProRAW format is and whether or not you should use it. And probably the most straightforward way to answer that question is to take two pictures side by side shot from the same iPhone 14 Pro, except they're shot at different formats. One will be shot in JPEG and the other one will be shot in the ProRAW format at 48 megapixels. And if you can tell the difference, right, that should answer the question, which one of these two photos is better? Well, the answer is not quite that simple. ProRAW is basically a photo format, like JPEG, which you may have heard of. When you snap a JPEG photo on your phone and then look back at it, you'll notice it has colors and lights and shadows. But camera sensors aren't conscious. They don't think, hey, brighter reds on this jacket would be nice, or let me focus on that guy's face because it's probably the subject of the picture. No, that's what the camera software does. It decides how to handle the lighting of a morning sunrise or to decrease the contrast in a darker shot. You just want a good picture, and the camera tries to deliver. The camera sensor itself is recording a lot more data and information from the light coming in through the lens than you actually see. With most picture formats like JPEG, for example, once the software has decided how to handle the photo, which by the way happens all in an instant, to save space on your phone and keep the file size small, it deletes all the extra information. You can think of your camera sensor like a grocery store. You could cook a lot of different foods for a dinner party with the ingredients at the store. It's a huge selection with a lot of possible combinations. But instead of buying everything in the store and taking it home with you, you just pick out a few ingredients, say to make a pasta dish with a salad and a dessert. You're limited to what you can cook based on what you bought at the grocery store and brought home with you. And that's okay. It's the end result that matters, the final dish that you serve to your guests. And that's a lot like JPEG or HEIF or a lot of other picture formats. It's the end result that's delivered to you that matters. The ingredients for just one dish. At this point of our analogy, a few things start to break down, so I just want to clarify. Processing and compression aren't things unique to JPEGs or HEIF files. A lot of different picture formats do this, but this is a high-level overview just to give you the gist. The second important point is that those software choices about how to handle the color and lighting of a given picture that's shot by you is programmed by humans. And it's the reason why two different brands or models of phones will often shoot pictures with slightly different tone preferences. The software that makes those decisions about color and lighting are programmed by humans, and humans have preferences. Some phones make reds really pop, while the others have preferences for greens, for example. The manufacturer of the phone wants to give you the best pictures possible, and so the software is tweaked by the programmers to make it as good as they can. Now, raw images, as you might imagine, are what they sound like. No processing on the data that's captured by the camera sensor, resulting in a bland, flat photo that needs to be edited in order to look good. Remember those software decisions we were talking about a minute ago when it comes to JPEGs and other picture formats? Well, raw pictures are just that. They are the raw file without any software processing done on them, so that you can make the decision if you want to make the reds pop, or you want duller greens, or you can make the photo really however you want because you have a lot more information to work with and the software hasn't made those decisions for you. The ProRAW format on iPhones, though, is slightly different. First, to enable it, your phone model has to support it. If it does, you need to go into the camera settings and enable ProRAW. With the iPhone 14 Pro, you can choose between 12 or 48 megapixels on the newer sensor. Essentially, that gives you more data in each photo to work with. Once ProRAW is enabled, you'll see a little toggle for it in the camera app. Like I mentioned, ProRAW photos are a little different than RAW photos, and as you can see, there's still some processing done on these pictures, which is why they look decent right out of the camera. So let's do a few tests. Tell me, can you see the difference between these two pictures? How about these two? Which one is the JPEG and which one is the ProRAW? I'll give you a few more tests. Is ProRAW on the right or on the left? If you said right, well, you got it right. Okay, last one for now. Any guesses? There you go, ProRAW on the left. You might be wondering, what the heck? These pictures don't look all that different, even though one is shot at ProRAW at 48 megapixels, which is a newer, higher resolution available on the iPhone 14 Pro. So what gives? To see the differences, you have to zoom in and slide around. Let's take this close-up shot of a camera dial. At first glance, these two photos look very similar, but if you zoom in, you'll notice that the JPEG is a little more pixelated here in the grooves of the dial. A lot of that has to do with compression, with the basic idea that being at normal viewing distances, these little details aren't going to be noticeable or very important to the viewer. But ProRAW does a lot less processing of the image files, so you get more details in each shot, especially at 48 megapixels. Again, just looking at a ProRAW photo doesn't reveal all the data in the image at first glance. But pull this image into Photoshop or Luminar to edit it, and look at the range we have with the sky in this example. See, what the initial image is showing us is what the camera software thinks is the best image for us based on a couple of general guidelines. But the ProRAW leaves all the data in there so you can decide how the final product looks. And because JPEGs and HEIC files, for example, don't have that data in there, they just don't have that data saved in the file itself, then you don't have as much flexibility to adjust the colors or the lighting because that information simply isn't there to work with. You can see what happens as I increase and decrease the exposure or contrast or saturation on the JPEG. Things start to look blown out and bad pretty fast, whereas on the ProRAW, the picture actually gets better. But all of that data that ProRAW images keep as part of that photo come at a cost, and that cost is cost in storage. See, a JPEG on average is going to be 2 to 4 megabytes, but that same picture in ProRAW can be 25, 50, or even 100 megabytes. So those files are sometimes 50 times bigger. And for a few photos, usually that's not a big deal. But it's the reason ProRAW is hidden in the settings, and even when you enable it, it's not on by default for every shot. ProRAW files are pretty big, and with all the other stuff on your phone, like the files, the apps, pictures, videos, all that stuff, ProRAW files can start to eat up storage space pretty fast. And most of the time, most of you probably don't want or need to use ProRAW in every shot. You're probably not editing every picture you take on your iPhone with specialized software, and for the most part, the iPhone does a pretty good job of delivering a good photo for you right out of the box. But for special occasions, maybe you're taking a trip somewhere special or you're going to a special event, then you might want to shoot ProRAW for a couple of those photos. But if you're not editing ProRAW files after the fact, then chances are nobody's going to notice, except maybe your camera storage. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope it explains what ProRAW is and why you might want to use it from time to time. But if you have any questions, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week. And I'll see you in the next video.